Bubbles. Yes, I love these filters. Yes, it's fun. What small movement can I make? What is the tiniest change that I can do to move toward what I want, which is joyful, happy, blissful, enthusiastic? What is the tiniest movement that I can make toward that fun, toward the fun of it? From low energy to high energy, and it's not a ladder to climb. We're not trying to get enlightened. We're not trying to get anything, but we want to move energy from low energy to energy, enthusiasm. Yes. Here's a little tiny movement. I like that filter. That's fun. I'm going to try that one. Oh. What small movement can I make? Or maybe I want that one again. Or that one. Or that one. That's cool too. What is the tiniest movement that I can make toward what I feeling good about my life, feeling enthusiastic. So often it is when we first wake up in the morning. That's why a lot of people, they begin their exercise routine, their coffee or tea. Some people water, structured water. I love structured water. Someone told me recently that you can, by intention alone, you can change the structure of water. And I still don't know what structured is. I just think of like, is ice cubes? Is that structured water? Are bubbles structured water? Are they spheres? What kind of a structure is it? I haven't looked into it yet, so I don't know. But what's the tiniest movements that I can do? So yesterday it was just a glorious day, sunshine, very very warm and humid where I live, and I got out of the house a lot, and I got a lot of sun. I got sunburnt. You probably can't tell it in this filter. Um, just want to try different filters, but you still can't tell because with me, um, there is very you can kind of start to see a tan coming in. It just no matter how hard I try, no matter how much sun I get, it's hard for me to develop a tan. So I just get burnt. But it's fun if it's not too, as long as I don't am not out there for hours and hours. It's usually 15, 20, 30 minutes at a time, sometimes an hour. And then um, it is one way to make a small movement. So this morning, as I was getting up, I was asking myself, what small movement? Because one of the tools in my metaphoric toolbox of things that I can do to begin to move toward feeling full of energy, abundant life, full is to actually, if I'm feeling low energy, which in my experience is depressed now, I want to say right now, I am not a health professional of any kind. Please talk to your health professional, whatever that is, a doctor, a therapist, mental health doctor, whatever. I'm not any of those things. I'm not claiming to give any kind of health advice. Check it out. What I'm talking about is my experience, what I find. These are all supplementary to these are that that you do in addition to your primary care. So, just sharing things. I'm not. Please don't think of this as advice. So, low energy. When I hear people talking about feeling depressed, I think of low energy. I'm not talking about chronic depression. I'm not talking about depression that lasts years and years and years and serious. I'm talking about what I identify as a depressed mood, temporary, but when it becomes perpetual, and I'm talking about if I feel low energy, if I have a bunch of tools in my toolbox to raise my energy level up toward happy, toward ecstasy, toward blissful, toward joyful, toward enthusiastic, the depressed feeling does not last. It could be as little as 5 minutes or even a few seconds. Some people are really good at just elevating their energy and feeling a good feeling, a feeling that they want to feel. So, when people are feeling really stuck in their mood, stuck in their depressed and feeling in low energy, to tell them to just snap out of it. So this is my reaction to the terrible advice that I've been given in my life. Just snap out of it. Just snap out of it, you depressing, boring, terrible human. Like, that's the advice for so many years in our olden days, in our ancient of ways. That's what I do. I laugh at it because otherwise I would be crying. I have a choice. That is not good. It's not helpful. I've been in households of people full of so many people saying that. Just snap out of it, you. And then I'm like, well, that makes me feel like a terrible. I didn't say you were terrible, you. You may. No. The energy that people bring, it's blaming and shaming. I want to bring the opposite of that, a very gentle and helpful approach to just low energy. Energy. It feels terrible when you have low energy and on top of it you add a multitude of shame and blame and terror and fearful feelings and frustration and despair and disappointment and just so many things on top of it. The stigma of feeling low energy. We are we are supposed to be happy all the time. No. We are supposed to feel a variety of feelings. But a natural state a perpetual state of happiness is possible, and it's natural. It's if you have a mentality, if you have set an intention for it, a natural state of happiness, peace, blissful, that is something to shoot for. But I am suggesting a gentle approach to it. What is the tiniest, smallest movement, smallest change that I can make to move toward feeling, from feeling low energy to feeling something different? Okay, so if I'm on a scale of 0 to 100 and I'm at like a 1 or a 2, I want to get to like, if I'm at a 1, I want to get to 1.15 to start. Because what can happen is we can have exponential incline, possibly. But we just want to focus on that 1 to 1.15 and move on up the scale. It builds. So one of the most helpful things I've heard in this last year was, you don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. And I just find it so helpful to sing about what I want. You don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't ever have to explain nothing to nobody. Yes! It's so fun. I love music. It helps me to feel happy. Tiniest movement. There, there's no voice that's saying, well, you should be playing better. You should have prepared that song instead of just writing it. What? What a world. No, I don't have to explain anything to anybody. I'm making stuff up. I'm being creative. It's fun. Oh, it's so fun. I can actually just sit in dead air. This is dead air when you're doing a video or a presentation, like you're standing in front of a classroom or you're doing a video. Like, it's almost like the most common rule: no air. So this is dead air. And then people start going, what is he doing? Oh my gosh. What's happening here? Oh, he's having a meltdown. Oh, look at that guy. What? It's just quiet. It's not dead. It's alive. That's what I'm feeling right now. I'm feeling so alive and blissful. In 16 minutes. 16 minutes have gone by since I started recording, and I feel alive. It's so fun. So, what do I want to feel? Okay? Such a hard question for people, I've noticed. When when you are in a low, stuck energy state. Ooh. I'm not making fun of people. Our thoughts can be so funny, so tricky, so finicky, so stuck, and so old and ancient. Ancient concepts, ancient beliefs. They're funny. And when they're taken to the extreme, we end up doing a lot of things that we regret and we wish we had not done. Some people even commit crimes. Can you imagine that? People, they do, they go so outside of what is helpful for the people around them, for the animals and nature, for the earth. We have set up rules and laws that help us to show up and not scream at people and yell and throw things and drive cars into things and people. Oh my gosh. You don't have to go very far to have heard of stories like that. I don't want to go into detail about those things. I don't want to focus my energy on those things. I want to focus on what I want. And what I want is to feel the opposite of that, to feel the opposite of terror and sadness and grief, if I can. Make it tiniest. I want. And what I want is to feel good. So, what do I want to feel good about? I want to feel good about my life. I want to be in love with life. And that includes self love. And not self love in a way that harms people. I'm talking about self love that includes people. I don't want to lord over people. I don't want to lord over others. If I go on a vacation, it doesn't feel good to be so stingy that I never tip anyone. I want to plan a vacation where I have, if I'm going to be going out, that I can tip people, that there's a budget for it. And for me, if I have a small budget, it's like the best vacation ever. I can go to like the Appalachian Trail or a state park. There's so many parks around, nature reserves in within driving distance and even some in walking distance from me, that I don't have to pay anything. I can actually walk within less than a block. There's a park that's free. There's a parkway that is also free. I was just looking up at something, my wall. There's a parkway, and actually, Some of the parks have limited hours. You have to leave by 10 p.m. You can't be in the park. But the parkway is actually open 24 hours. It's delightful. It's wonderful to walk. And I got a little distracted there because there's a critter that I want to try to make a different home for. And I got distracted. So, what I'm going to do is take care of it. Yes, I caught it. I'm gonna make a different home for it. I love my life. It's fun. Every single second of every minute of every hour of every day. It's fun. That was entertaining for me. Ain't nothing to nobody. You don't have to explain. You don't have to. Whoa! Oops, the guitar fell. That was fun. Sometimes when I listen to myself talk, I'm like, wow, I sound just a little bit drunk, and I'm not. I'm getting high on my own supply. That's what it is. I love that phrase. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. You. To explain nothing to nobody. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't have to explain. You don't have to explain. You don't have to explain nothing to nobody. You don't have to. I was just thinking about the patience that it can take to create the life that you want. No rush when it comes to writing songs. And all the time in the world, if I were to write a song that was played so much throughout the world that it was like an anthem for decades, people were playing the song. Now, that is a life's work. So why would I want to rush it? I want to make the tiniest movement. So what I've done in the past that doesn't work, the reason I'm doing it this way now to find the tiniest movement is, by the way, I just want to check and see how much battery I have. I don't want to run out of battery when I'm talking, doing a live. So, what I've done in the past that didn't work, I have spent years doing jobs where the whole time I was trying to be thrilled about it. And now I've gotten to the point where I don't do anything unless I'm thrilled about it, enthusiastic, because I personally, my opinion is that there's nothing that we ever need to do when we are feeling low energy and sad and depressed. Now, that, based on my upbringing and the people that I've been around, and this is beyond parenting, these are people, it's a time I grew up in 80s and 90s where what was on the TV, the concepts were really they're similar to now, but they're even there wasn't a lot of variety other than, well, you should pull yourselves up by your bootstraps and just do it because I am I am proud of the business, and there's nothing I'm more proud of than how hard of a worker. What? So I became the hardest worker I know. People would even say, nothing, no one works harder than Matt now. And I have to tell you that that has gotten me nothing in terms of happiness. In fact, anything but happiness. I just developed a habit of just grinding and grinding and grinding. And I remember having a job where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna find the hardest job I can find. What? First of all, don't do that, please. And a lot of people have written books about this, successful books. One in particular that I'm thinking of. I love the book. I respect the person that made it, and oh my gosh, I learned so much from that person. I won't mention their name yet because I don't want it to make it sound like they're a bad person. But it was so helpful in that it taught me. Actually, in the book, the person says several times in interviews and in the book, do not do what I did, but here's some principles for you. So that was really helpful that they showed. Now, the extreme measures that this person went to accomplish things, I just respectfully do not think that it's necessary. And I get why there's some good points in there, but when you can be, for me, I just want to be more specific. I found that I can be tenacious about my happiness, meaning I have set an intention for being having a happiness practice 168 hours a week. Now, that sounds extreme right off the bat. But for me, happiness includes lots and lots of rest. I rest. I'm busy. I'm an active person. I like to do things, but for me, I get plenty of rest. Sometimes I need more than 8 hours. When I am working, I implement times where I'm laying down on my back. And what I do is when I am in a restful state, if I feel the need to turn that restful state into an actual sleep state and sleep for a moment, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I do that. I allow myself that. My schedule is built in so that I can take rest at night, and if I need to during the day, naps. It feels right. And I know what it's like to, I know why I get to the point where it's counterintuitive. When I need more rest than 10 hours, 12 hours, when I'm getting to the point where I feel tired for 14 hours and then through the day, people say, "Oh, you slept too much." No, that's not why. That's just a symptom. You slept too much. The reason why, for me, and again, I am not claiming to know everyone's situation, but for me, when because of how I was brought up, because of how I was conditioned, because of the things that I believed, I developed a work ethic that is so exhausting and so harmful and so filled with stress. This is my opinion, that when I start to sleep more than 10, 12, when I'm sleeping up to 13, 14 hours a day, that is when I look back and I'm like, wow, I've been really pushing myself. I'm really hard on myself. I have, my thinking is not, it's just anything but helpful. It's all downward thinking. It's all negative. It's all, "You're a piece of garbage" thoughts. Telling myself how bad I am, telling myself how bad people are. Because when I start to tell myself how bad I am in my thinking and I start believing those thoughts, then what results, it's just inevitable. I start talking about how other people are bad and I start blaming them. It's just how it works. A lot of people can identify that with that. It's not just me. I'm not a hopeless case. I'm anything but a hopeless case. I can do anything I want. I can do and have anything I want. That's my mentality. So how do I get there each day? I practice each day. I have 168 hours a week that I can put into this. So I want to implement a lot of rest. I want to implement a lot of gentleness, a lot of rest, and a lot of gentleness. This goes against what, it's not even against it, but it's contrary. It's counterintuitive. It's really just another option. If you are sick, symptomatic in terms of illness, having symptoms that are showing inflammation, and your body is screaming at you because you're in pain, and you're in pain because you're stressed and you're being hard on yourself, this is just another option. It's another option. And it's fun to be gentle. It's another option to be gentle. And I'm just hearing the thoughts around that. What do you mean, gentle, you little P, you little C? I'm just imagining, because I have been around people that scream obscenities at one another. What do you mean, you little, this guy's weak? I've heard people say that. You're weak. No, I'm anything but weak. I probably can, between, there's a type of a movement that I do with my legs on a machine that I can lift 400 pounds. I'm anything but weak. I can do plenty of exercise. When I exercise, it looks like I'm not doing much because I move slow. But what I've noticed when it comes to even walking it is, I've noticed that it's harder for me to walk and move slowly than it is to run and move quickly, because it's the mentality that's tough. My mind is so incredibly sharp. I'm a genius, and this is what's possible for human beings. We are all, you are a genius. I'm telling you. I implore you, and I ask you to find it. Discover this for yourself. You can have an undefeatable mentality. I'm undefeatable when it comes to being gentle with myself, meaning I want to find the tiniest movement toward what I want. I can do it. I can do it. I believe that people can live beyond 120 years, well beyond. And I am undefeatable in terms of illness. I have never been sick, and I never will be. I'm certain. That's my mentality. I have felt symptoms of illness, but I don't get sick. Never. That is undefeatable. And the same principles apply to our relationships. We can go through a relationship and just never have a an argument. I mean, what a world would that be? You never have arguments. You can actually work it out before you get to your coffee. Before you get to your tea, you can make the tiniest movement and begin with that and build on it, exponentially move energy up toward a happy and peaceful person. It can take as little as 10, 20 minutes. For me, I want as much time as I can. Today, it was probably 14 minutes, maybe 15, maybe 16. But some days, what I like to do is to give myself an hour or two at the beginning, because I love to move energy. I enjoy it so much. I love my breathing practices. I love my meditation. It lifts me up. I want to be as full of energy as I can be. Energetic. I'm not afraid of emotion. Emotion doesn't make me weak, it makes me strong. My mentality is undefeatable in terms of adding, it's so radical to be gentle to ourselves. Self love is radical. I am undefeatable in terms of rest, in terms of self love, self care, gentleness toward myself. I love my life. Oh my God. I don't live in perpetual sadness. I'm so strong. I'm strong in the fact that I can rest. People look at me. I've heard people, it's not all day long, it's not even every day, but occasionally people scream obscenities at me. I have even friends, one in particular, who apologized to me for what he said about me like over 15 years ago, because it was rude and it was cruel, and I had already resolved it within myself. But when we do things like that, when we scream obscenities at other people, we actually don't hurt them at all. We and believe me, there's exceptions to that. If you're screaming at someone and they can smell your horrible stank breath, that can be hurtful. And people can feel your energy because they're so close to you screaming at you. That is hurtful. But afterward, when you leave the situation, and there's exceptions to what I'm about to say, so just be gentle. If someone screamed at me when I go home and I'm in my safe in my bed and it's over, people are done screaming, That person cannot hurt me any longer. I have the power to stop the hurt. And the exceptions I'm talking about is when you have like a small child who is under the care of their parents and they haven't yet learned to work through that stuff, and it can be damaging for years on end. People that are older and they're vulnerable to that. So there are exceptions to this, but once we learn how to not be affected. So what happens when someone curses us, say for example, screaming obscenities, calling us names, calling us terrible things. That curse holds no power unless we take it on and believe it and obsess over it and take it on as an identity now. In my life, where I have done that is I had someone do that, screaming obscenities. They weren't even screaming. They were just, it was like a curse. It's just your normal everyday curse. You're too fat, something along those lines. And someone that I actually had been spending some time thinking, wow, I think I really like this person. And I took that on. I didn't consciously do this, but looking back, I took it on. I obsessed about it. I took it on as an identity. And I literally, not like with uh, not physically hurt myself with it, but I beat myself up metaphorically with my words, with my thoughts, until the identity was so strong that it actually went into the cellular level, and I became a very large person. I embodied someone that was, in my mind, too fat. So that is something I created, and I didn't do it on purpose, but all of the elements of creation are there. And when we co-create, because it was co-creation, every creation is co-creation. You can't take all the credit for everything. But where people have done a disservice in my life is to say, like, for example, I used to work in a Christian situation where I was doing music, and I would say, wow, that time of music was wonderful, wasn't it? And they're like, it was God, glory to God. And I'm just like, what? Who, what? I didn't know enough to question those thoughts. Of course, it's glory to God. But when glory to God takes away from my part, I'm the one that practiced the instrument. I'm the one that, you know, that a lot of times when people talk about, oh, it was talent, it was a gift. No! Someone had a desire well on their voice and sound well on their instrument, and they practiced it and they imagined it. My God, why would we take it away? Talent comes through practice. That's my opinion. So, back to the curses. When I was probably 11 or so, 10, 11, there was a curse, and it was your normal everyday curse. The cursing wasn't like, I so therefore thou art, curse you thou. There wasn't a ceremony. It was just a curse word. I curse you. You're too fat. Fat slob. That was the words. So I took it on as an identity, and it wasn't on purpose. So the great news about knowing my part in that, there's no shame on me. There is absolutely, to know that there's no shame. I can break that curse by believing the opposite. Here's an example. What's the tiniest movement I can make? So I thought, what if I came from a planet where people weigh 1,600 pounds? And I thought of the movie The Whale with Brendan Fraser. The guy in the movie, it was based on a play. I forget who wrote it. Brilliant, brilliant man. The director, Darren Aronofsky, brilliant. All these guys are brilliant. They came together. The woman who played the main female lead. Oh my gosh, everyone in that movie is incredible. The character in that movie, played by Brendan Fraser, he had a fat suit on, and he looked like he weighed about 1,600 pounds. So I said, what if I came from a planet where everyone was 1,600 pounds and people that looked like me were just ever so gorgeous, hot? So I say to people, I come from a planet where people weigh 1,600 pounds and I'm the hot girl because that's an ever so gentle, tiny movement toward what I want. I don't want to live there perpetually. But, and as a matter of fact, I don't care about looking hot. It's one thing I've just decided because when I was about 20 years old or so, I was thin and I looked like what you would see on a magazine cover of a model. I'm not saying I could have had a career there. Was probably I looked close enough that I could have. I was what people think of as hot. Now, at the time, I felt anything but hot. I never felt like I was hot. Never. So I didn't even benefit from when I was. You can actually look like $1,000,000 and feel terrible. So, what I've decided at this size and shape, I'm going to feel as good as I possibly can feel now. I'm going to be healthy at this weight. I'm going to be hot at this weight. And more importantly, I'm going to have if we think of a human body as a box with the most precious gift inside of it, a present, a container, and the recipient is first it's us. When we open the box, we're the one that gets the gift. What I want to share with the world is so much more than just a pretty box. I want the best technology, the most beautiful flowers, um, the most delicious food in that box. I want just everything you could imagine that you'd ever want. That's like, oh, there's a lamp inside the box that just it's an antique and it's just so shiny and it looks so perfect and it adds so much value to the room when I put it on. And there's um, uh, oils and creams that I can put on my skin that smell so good. And there's uh, all my favorite foods are in the box. All of my favorite instruments are in this box. It's a big box. I have a big box. Yes. All of the delights. There's an amusement park in the box, for crying out loud. There's all the awesome animals. You have a zoo where animals run free and they are happy in this box. They aren't bound by chains. They aren't bound by bars. It's an amusement park. The earth, without all of our walls and borders, it's just fun for everyone. That's what's possible when we work through some of the stuff, when we imagine. And so, the probably the most beneficial thing I've ever done in my life is spend time in stillness, observing the unknown, observing what I cannot see with my eyes. If I close my eyes, it can help to have some kind of covering over our ears if we can. Go into a room where you have either privacy or a semi private room. Lights are off, devices are off, phone ringers turned off, all of that stuff down. And have a focused meditation for any amount of time is good. If you're new, I would start with 30 seconds, but make it a daily practice. I would move from 30 seconds to a minute to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a good amount of time. I love hour-long meditations, but what I would prefer for myself is 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening, that kind of a thing. That's what I love. But also, because I love meditation so much, my intention and my focus is I've intended to have a 168-hour happiness practice, which includes meditating. So I want to have that same focus that I have as much as I can throughout the day. I don't want to leave my meditation and then just forget everything and go back to the old way. No. The meditation practice, the stillness practice, the breathing practice, I want it to serve me for the entirety of the day. There's a technique that I love that you can within 3 minutes create brain and heart coherence. I didn't invent this, but I love it, and it's part of my daily practice, especially when I experience something that's particularly upsetting and stressful. Within 3 minutes, it can bring me right back into a perpetual state of happiness. So, um, at the beginning, what small movement can I make? What is the tiniest change that I can do? There's so many things, and I've talked about several of them, and I just want to, I could just go on and on and on, but I want to leave more for the next time and to wish you a happy life, to wish you um, peace, and to wish you the opposite of a curse, a blessing, to wish you blessing, to wish you brain and heart coherence, and to know that and to feel it. Thank you for listening and watching. It was so fun.